TNA Genesis 2012 pay-per-view review. The pay-per-view went off there a little while ago, and this is pretty much like a lot of TNA pay-per-views. You had a very weak undercard for this show. The main event was actually going on pretty good with Jeff Hardy and Bobby Roode for the TNA title. But just like every other TNA pay-per-view, the main events tend to always end in terrible ways. Last month, obviously, they did the thing with the 30-minute Iron Man match where it ended in a draw. This month, going on real good. I was liking the match a lot, but ends in disqualification, so that really hurt the main event right there. The undercard, like I said, was very weak, and the one thing that was really good on this show, which was the one thing I will tell people to go out their way to check out, is the Abyss versus Bully Ray match, the Monsters Ball match. That's easily the best match on this pay-per-view, and that's the one thing I will say go out your way to see. So let me get into my review. The opening matchup was the 4-way X Division elimination match, which had Zema Ion versus Kid Kash versus Jesse Sorensen versus Aries. The first elimination saw Zema Ion. He hit the 450 onto Kid Kash, so Kid Kash was the first one eliminated. And then you saw Aries on the other side of the ring. He tried to hit a 450 on Jesse Sorensen to get him eliminated. Jesse kicked out. And then the next elimination came when the next elimination was Jesse eliminating Zema Ion, and then that kind of played into the end of the match with Zema Ion basically costing Jesse the end of the match with, looks like he was going to, hit the 450 on Aries. Aries down in the ring. Then you saw Zema Ion outside the ring. He pulled him down, and then Aries hits the Brainbuster, the Avalanche Brainbuster from the middle rope to retain the X Division title, which thankfully he did retain the title here, and not Aries, but Alex Shelley is going to be returning to TNA very soon, so we'll actually finally see a good program with the X Division title when that happens right there. So thankfully he did retain the title. It was a decent opener, about 2 3/4 stars. Then the next matchup was the Pope D'Angelo Nero versus Devon. This was the stuff, with Devon's kids that's been dragging on. It looks like it possibly might have ended right here, even though they've done this before and it's actually continued. But hopefully this is when it actually does end. Devon picks up the win. Towards the end of it, the Pope gets Devon's sons in there, wants them to beat down Devon. They refuse to do it. Then Pope basically attacks them, and then Devon just wins the match not that long after that. It was at least watchable. I would say about 2 stars, maybe 2 1/4 stars. Then after this was Gunner versus RVD, which wasn't a good match at all. RVD got they did a spot in here where RVD's looking like he's going to be off of TV for a little while. They did the thing with Gunner hitting the DDT to the concrete. Gunner does win this match, so RVD looks like they're going to be doing a storyline where he'll be out of action for a little bit. Wasn't a good match at all. At best 1.5 stars. Next matchup was the Knockouts title match. This was Mickie James and Gail Kim. It was a decent women's match. Wasn't anything great, but it was decent, I would say. Mickie James loses this match via disqualification in this match. About 1.5 stars, 1 3/4 stars. Basically your typical knockouts match. The next matchup was the best match of the night. This was Abyss versus Bully Ray in the Monsters Ball match. This was easily the best thing on this whole entire show. This was a great hardcore match. Saw a number of great spots in here. Obviously, Abyss was bleeding in this match. Early in the match, he got thrown into one of the barbed wire boards, and his arm got cut right there. And then you saw a number of spots in here with Bully Ray. He rock bottomed Abyss through one of the barbed wire boards. And then after he rock bottomed through the barbed wire boards, he got another one, placed it on top of Abyss, and then the senton off the middle rope onto Abyss. You saw a number of sick kendo stick shots in this match. Then Abyss chokeslam Bully Ray through a thing of thumbtacks, and just a lot of good hardcore spots in this match. Easily the best, most enjoyable match on this whole entire show. And this is probably one of Abyss's best match I have seen in a long time. He actually looked like his old self here, where he didn't look like the pussy type Abyss where he was treated like a joke. He actually looked dominating in this match, and Abyss does win this match after hitting the Black Hole Slam to Bully Ray through one of the barbed wire boards in this match. Easily best thing on here. 3.5 stars, maybe even 3 3/4 stars, because I really did enjoy that match a lot. Then the next matchup was the TNA Tag Team Title Match. This was Samoa Joe and Magnus versus Matt Morgan and Crimson. Not that good of a tag match right here. Obviously, they did the little tournament with basically mixing together a lot of random people, and then obviously Samoa Joe and Magnus won that to get their shot here to take on Matt Morgan and Crimson. Thankfully, they did not have Samoa Joe win the tag team titles here with Magnus, because I did not want him to get stuck there, even though this is one of the first times in a little while you actually seen him on a pay-per-view, so some people might have argued that it might have been worth at least sacrificing that for that reason, but I'm glad they didn't do that. Matt Morgan and Crimson are still the champs. They pick up the victory when they hit the double choke slam onto Crimson. Not Crimson, but on Magnus in this match. About 2 stars, watchable at best. Then the matchup was Kurt Angle versus James Storm. Now, this was the most disappointing thing of the whole entire night, because I was expecting a lot from this. They had a great match at last month's pay-per-view Final Resolution, and I was expecting this to be just as good, but this was not as good as that one. It was at the start of it, I kind of expected to be what it was at the beginning, where it was kind of being slow and methodic, and they were going slow, working slow pace for a lot of it. It just didn't really pick up at all, and I just didn't get into it like last month's pay-per-view, where you're pretty much on the edge of your seat. This just was a decent match from them two. From a Kurt Angle and James Storm match, you expect something very good to great. You just got, you got an above average match here, but nothing that I wouldn't expect seeing maybe on Impact. That was what this match was. Kurt Angle wins this one, so James Storm didn't defeat him 3 times in a row. Kurt Angle picks up the victory here when he kicks James Storm in the nuts. Then he basically does kind of a super kick, but mostly just a kick to James Storm to pick up the win there. About 2.5 stars, 2 3/4 stars. Just it wasn't as good as last month's pay-per-view. It's just decent this month. Definitely the most disappointing thing on this pay-per-view was that match. Then the next matchup was the main event. This was for the TNA title with Jeff Hardy versus Robert Roode, or Bobby Roode, I mean. And this match was going on very good. I really got into it. I was liking it. It looks like it was going to be a great TNA world title match for one of their pay-per-views. And, the way TNA does a lot of their pay-per-views, they always, tend to have a match that looks like it's going to be very good for the main event. Then they do some terrible booking or interference, or they do some type of booking towards the end of the match that always hurts it. And this was just another one of those examples where the ending of it hurted a whole lot. They were going on real good. Obviously, the crowd was really behind Jeff Hardy. They really wanted him to win the title here. The feud will continue, so obviously Jeff Hardy and Bobby Roode will have another match for the TNA title, but the ending of it's not a way you should end one of your pay-per-views. If this was Impact, it would be a whole lot. I wouldn't have too many complaints with it, but ending one of your pay-per-views like this, it was terrible. Firstly, they were outside the ring. It looks like they were, kind of teasing that the match was going to end in a count out. Then Bobby Roode had the title in his hand, brought it into the ring, tried to use it on Jeff Hardy. The ref stopped him. Then the belt was back down. Belt was down in the ring. Jeff Hardy was going to hit the twist of fate, so he didn't. The referees broke them up because he would have done the twist of fate onto the belt, basically disqualified himself. And then the match ends when Bobby Roode kicked the refs in the nuts, and he retains the title there because obviously the title isn't changed via disqualification. So Jeff Hardy wins the match, but he doesn't win the title obviously because it's disqualification. Just a terrible way to end your show right there, especially with a match that was going on very good. Hopefully that TNA doesn't do what they would do other times where they would end this match, in disqualification. Then, when we read this Impact spoilers this week, we find out that the title changed hands and Jeff Hardy wins the title there. If they do that, that's going to be idiotic, but I wouldn't put it past TNA doing it. Just hopefully if they want to do changing the title and they want Jeff Hardy to win the title, they do it on pay-per-view. Do not do it on Impact, I would say. And The main event, like I said, was going on very good. The ending it with DQ really hurt it a lot. I would still, give the main event. I would still probably give it, 2 and 3, 4 stars because it was good for a wrestling match. It's just the ending of it really bothered me a lot. So on this show, you really only had one great match. That was Abyss versus Bully Ray. Like I said, you had a pretty terrible undercard for the show, and then the main event, like I said, was going on very good, but you do a terrible booking decision at the end where the match ends in disqualification. So it's just, your typical TNA show. I would probably give the show about a 6 out of 10, maybe a 6.5 out of 10. The only thing that I would say I would recommend people to check out is the Monsters Ball match, but everything else you pretty much can pass. So that's it for my TNA Genesis 2012 pay-per-view review. All right, peace.